Welcome back to Studio F1 Fast Times Willy B. We'll be reviewing Captain America the Winter Soldier. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russ?
Hit it!
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Drew and Kory back. How you guys doing?
Swell.
Great.
Wonderful.
Better than Drew.
Should we just start?
He's a little better than me.
Should we just start listing off synonyms to great?
Amazing.
Phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Great.
Back to the review.
Very good.
Spectacular. Fuck you, Drew.
Anyways, today we will be talking about Captain America the Winter Soldier as we continue our journey through the Cap movies as we get ready for the Brave New World. This one released in 2014, directed by the Russo brothers. Can I help you over there?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I swear we're not high right now.
We got the Russo brothers. We've got the cast of Community. Not really, but we've got some cameos.
They're sprinkled in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Little Danny
I did
Cooter.
have to text you. I was like, dude, Abed is in.
That's right.
Because I didn't
That's
know
right.
the first time I wasn't familiar with.
We were talking
Community's
about
games.
earlier. I forgot. Yvette Nicole Brown's in Endgame, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But
They
nonetheless,
all make an appearance.
big cast-wise, obviously Chris Evans, Sebastian Stan are the two biggest names. We've got Scarlett Johansson, obviously, a big name as well. Very heavily present in this movie, along with Samuel L. Jackson,
Oh, Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, and many others. It's you can't really list the full cast on a Marvel movie, especially when we get to the third one. But nonetheless, we'll start with the good, and just about everything in this movie is in the good. Drew took the mic out of Kory's
I'll
hand,
take the mic.
So we'll let Drew kick us off. Where do you want to roll?
I want to start from the beginning. The mission.
Okay.
The boat scene where Cap just destroys like 40 guys right away. He's setting the tone early. And
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I love Sam and Cap's first interaction. On your left.
Yeah.
On your
Oh
left.
yeah.
Stop saying it, man!
Yep. Yeah. This is the introduction to Sam.
Yeah.
Great character.
Yeah.
He's Captain America in the Brave New World. So obviously he's worked his way up the ladder. You could say the corporate ladder of Marvel, I guess. But no, that is a fun scene. And then the interaction you get at the end with him sitting by the tree, and he's like, "Did you just take another lap?" I assume you did. And then that's when you get Black Widow picking him up, and you can't run everywhere. And he goes, "No, you can't."
And she was like, have you guys seen the fossil?
Yes. Yeah.
That was good.
So it's definitely a fun, upbeat way to start it. You got great action, you got some comedy. It's just all of that in like the first 20 minutes of this movie. And like you said, it sets the tone.
Sets a tone.
One of my favorite parts of this movie is figuring out that the bad guy is Bucky.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first time I
Oh,
watched
did you not
it.
know that going in?
Well, I mean, you know, but like seeing the face of
Yeah,
Captain
yeah.
America, because it's called the Winter Soldier,
Right.
But the first time I watched this, I didn't watch this in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I watched this was at home with a friend, shortly after we watched the first Avenger. And I was with Augie, actually. And I knew that Bucky was the Winter Soldier, but like just the scene, it's so good, and the way Captain America reacts to it, and it's just it's a great scene.
So it's kind of a bummer for me because I, played Marvel video games like Ultimate Alliance and stuff like that, where you have the Winter Soldier in the game, but they don't specifically say that it is Bucky or anything like that. And then I remember when I was like 10 or 11-ish, I got a Captain America toy, but it was I accidentally got the Bucky Barnes version where he has the black pants and whatever, and I didn't know that. And then I read, because it used to come with a little shield font where you'd read all of it, and it talked about the Winter Soldier. I was like, God damn it, that's him.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer.
That's fair.
The greatest thing I have to say about the Winter Soldier, this is one of the few very, very rare instances where a movie is completely based on, for the most part, one comic book storyline, and it's better than the comic book.
Really?
Yeah, they did. The Winter Soldier's done a lot better in the movie than the comic. The comic is still great. Ed Brubaker, amazing run on Captain America. It's a great run, but I think the character of Bucky himself is handled a lot better in the movie.
Okay.
In the comic, he talks a lot, and But
I
in
think
the
that's what I
movie,
like about Bucky.
menacing
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it is in the
exactly.
movies.
In the movie, you get kind of like the Terminator, don't
Yeah.
talk a lot, strictly down to business, whatever. And throughout the comic book, he's mostly just like, who am I? And he's kind of a bit more whiny about it. It's still good, but the take that they had in this was a better version of it.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a man on a mission.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
and Sebastian Stan's fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
Great Bucky.
But we get some great action in this movie.
The hand-to-hand combat in
Yeah.
this movie. Oh my god.
I mean, this is this. I'm not saying they're on the same level because I think I prefer the Batman more, but this is a similar movie in that, like, in the sense that it's like almost like a spy espionage film, where that one's more like a investigation thriller. It's not your stereotypical superhero movie, but
No.
it does the genre it's playing in very well. And that's one thing that's always stuck out to me with this movie as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely like a MCU genre
Yeah.
film for sure. I mean, you could probably take all these characters out and swap them in with James Bond characters.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know the difference.
And it would still be a pretty stellar movie.
Still be a great movie.
Yeah. Now, obviously, making Captain America, the
Absolutely.
Winter Soldier, and Black Widow, and all those other guys makes it more fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely does. I mean, and like the great action thing. There's a lot more. I remember seeing some behind the scenes stuff where they were talking about how in the first movie, Captain America doesn't really know how to fight. He's just, he has a super soldier
He
serum.
just took major steroids and he's just
Exactly.
free-balling it right
That's
now.
like he had like boot camp and then just kind of just won it.
Yeah.
And this one they wanted him to evolve, so they gave him like, what does it look like when Captain America has training? Even the Avengers, he isn't doing really like trained choreography. And this, like that Lumerian star scene at the beginning, where he's just kneeing and kicking people off the boat and shit, fucking brutal.
Yeah. Something else I love about this movie is just the storyline of you can't trust anybody. So it's basically, Captain America and Black Widow for themselves the entire movie. And that's fun too because it adds to the tension. You're almost like, when you're watching the movie, you're walking on eggshells with them. You never know what's around the corner. I love the scene where, I can't think of the guy's name, that he's the computer. He's in the first Captain America.
Zemo.
No, not Zemo.
Or not Zemo.
Oh my God.
Toby Jones.
Yeah, Toby Jones as freaking famous fucking villain who's a TV man walking with a camera head.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Arnim Zola.
There we go.
God damn.
Zola. Yeah, that scene's really fun.
I love that.
Because when the first time I watched this,
yeah.
I thought it was just like a generated, like, oh, he was just like an answering machine. Then he starts like responding. I'm like, oh shit. Like,
I still think they have room to do, comic accurate Zola where he walks around and actually but the adaptation of him just being in the computers and stuff, I think that's actually fine.
Yeah.
And the vintage look to it and I
love
great.
the line, "You guys are standing in my brain right now."
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's hard to me.
And the fact that it's a callback to where he went to boot camp at.
Yeah.
We come back to that location a few times.
Yeah.
After a first Avenger, you never expect to go back there, but we go back there twice.
I like that Hydra's still the big bad for Captain America. I think that's fun, obviously.
And if you don't know, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Going into that Hydra stuff, you really wouldn't.
Best scene in the movie might be the elevator scene.
Oh, that's
Dude.
probably top 5 in Marvel.
Yeah, like
The MCU scenes.
and it's all because of how he starts it too.
Yeah.
Like with the
Does anybody want to get out?
Anybody wanna get out of
Before
here?
we get started,
Yeah.
does anybody want to get out?
and that scene is so good. That just goes once again to the great hand-to-hand combat and action in this movie, and then you get it once again in the third act when we're trying to stop the whatever they're called,
Helicarriers?
the helicarriers. Yeah, when they're trying to stop those from taking off, and it's just
Killing everybody.
and then
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
this is another one I wish I could watch for the first time. Just because of like the Samuel L. Jackson, or not Nick Fury, I should say. Nick Fury still being alive, and then I love the deception scene with Black Widow where she's got the senator's face on, and there's just so much like
She bites the bullet for a minute.
Yeah.
By electrocuting herself.
There is a lot of twists and turns along the way in this movie too.
Absolutely, there is. I will say one of the best things about this movie too. I think the best Nick Fury stuff, maybe the best Captain America stuff. But I would say the best Captain America stuff because it's about not changing your morals and things evolve or whatever. But planting yourself like a tree. I think Black Widow's at her best too. I think all these characters are at their best. Sam's up there. I love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's up there though. It's up there though. Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, the Nick Fury scene where he's in the car.
God,
yes. All those agents going after him. He's like, "Get me off the grid."
Yeah.
I love
that. Was so tough to me.
I'll never forget watching that in theaters, and he's like, "Put it in flight mode or whatever," and it's like not working. And I remember being like, "Ah, god damn it!"
What is working? AC is fully.
it's fully. Yeah.
I love when when they're busting the window, and he's like, "Now," and he gets the gun and just mows them down like
a freaking murderer, which he is. Yeah, you get a little. I mentioned this in my previous podcast before I did this with you. There's kind of like almost a callback to this movie in the Batman where you get the upside down car and the Winter Soldier's walking up to Nick Fury like he's the Batman. It's pretty reminiscent of that scene, but that laser that cuts through, I guess, the Earth in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that scene. I'm calling back more to the first time I watched it rather than this last time because you know what's happening when you rewatch it, obviously. Yeah. But the first time when I was like, "Oh no, he's done for," and then when Bucky opens the car door and there's just a giant hole in Earth, I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
And then Nick Fury fakes his death in the movie. I remember that really. I mean, if I was older, I probably would have known he's probably not gonna die.
Well, no, the first time I watched this,
but they sell it.
I was like. They're gonna kill him this early into the universe, and I
don't know if you know Nick Fury.
Yeah.
If you're old enough, you would know it's probably not gonna happen. But they really got me as a kid. I was like, God, he's dead.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing I miss, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I know, they're not going to kill the main guy. Right?
The older you get, the more movie formula gets ingrained in your brain. You're like, oh, I wish I didn't know this. Yeah. But no, it's phenomenal. It has great music too. Henry Jackman's score on this because Alan Silvestri did the first Avenger. I love Henry Jackman's work on this. Yep. It's they got rid of the trumpets in the the 40s. Now we're at spy thriller action. And that Winter Soldier theme I think is phenomenal. Yeah. It's just sound effects and screams and metal clanks and it's awesome.
Effects are in the good.
Yeah.
This was in the golden age of Marvel effects.
Absolutely.
We had a little run there where we weren't rushing projects, so they were able to be finished on the special effects side of things. Yeah. So that was nice because there's a lot in this movie, but they're pretty they're pretty good. I mean,
absolutely.
You really can't tell. Yeah, it's a fun movie, fun action film.
You can't have a bad time with it, honestly.
No, I texted you after finishing Civil War 2, and I was like, I'm glad I rewatched all 3 of these because it's been a while since I've rewatched an MCU movie. I think the last 10 MCU watches have been first time watches in the theaters, and then it's been a while since I rewatched. Probably the last time I rewatched one was No Way Home.
Wow.
Yeah, so getting to rewatch a couple of the movies I know I enjoy, it was fun.
It's a good time.
Have to tackle more of these maybe throughout the year, even though there's no other prequels to the movies coming out.
Absolutely.
Who cares? For Thunderbolts, let's do the Guardians trilogy. Why not?
But somebody's getting back into it.
What else you guys got in the good?
You got anything?
Dude, Winter Soldier was so cold in this. When he catches Cap's shield.
Oh, yeah.
Cap is chasing him.
Great teaser trailer moment, by the way. Do you remember when the trailer ends with him capping? I remember that being whoa.
I remember, as a kid, because I didn't know Bucky was Winter Soldier when I first saw it. I'm like, who the schmuck is this guy?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, it's Bucky? No freaking way they're using Bucky.
Absolutely. When you watch First Avenger for the first time, you just expect Bucky to be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great stuff. I think that thematically all that stuff is great too. Burning shield to the ground, even though it just gets rebuilt in a day, whatever. And he talks about how that's not protection, that's fear. That whole. It's just Captain America standing on his morals when everyone wants him to grow out of it. I think that's an amazing lesson, especially the first Avenger. Whenever they did that movie, obviously he could be a man in the 40s with the kind of morals that they don't stick around as much today.
Yeah.
But whenever you move him into modern day, you have to figure out how do we adapt Captain America into modern day. How do you do that? You don't.
Yeah.
You keep him as is, and then put him in modern day.
Yeah.
He just learns a little bit more Krav Maga.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a really good Captain America movie. I agree with everything you just said, and I don't know. I always like movies too that make you think. This one makes you think. I love the post-credit scene as well. Got to throw that in the good, where you got Bucky visiting a museum and seeing his display. I thought that was always cool. It's not your like, oh, tease the next thing type of end of credit, but it's like it's just a nice little throw-in scene that I always enjoyed every time I've watched this.
I mean, a post-credit scene should either make you laugh, excite you for the next thing, and the make you laugh thing, that's like kind of the last of those these three options. Excite you for the next thing, or just give you a good character moment that makes you feel something. And definitely Bucky trying to come around to who he is. I mean,
Good character moment.
That's great stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that final battle too, by the way. A lot of tension, having Falcon, Black Widow, Nick Fury, and Captain America all running amok in different places. And keeping that tension up. I think it's edited very well. In those last moments, with you to the end of the line. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, man.
Very good stuff.
I miss the heart in the old MCU movies.
Yeah, there's some heart in there.
Yeah.
There's good lighting too. I want to throw that out there.
Good lighting.
At moment, there's good lighting because I specifically, one of my favorite shots in the MCU probably is whenever the Winter Soldier visits Robert Redford's house in the night.
Okay.
And and he's just sitting in the darkness, and you can kind of see a sliver of his face.
Yeah.
And oh my God, then he shoots the maid or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Robert Redford does, but
I wish he would have knocked and popped her.
100%. 100. No, he just went straight for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have really anything to complain about with this movie.
I mean, when you say the whole thing's like good, you kind of mean it.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very good movie. Do you guys need a matter about it, or do you guys want to just go to final thoughts?
I have a fun fact real quick.
All right, hit me.
Or not a fun fact, just something I noticed. Did you guys notice when Fury is in Cap's apartment, the song playing is the one Cap and Peggy
in Endgame?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, when that happened, I was like, am I remembering this movie wrong? Because I thought it was going to be Fury sitting there. And then when I heard the song, I was like, that's his and Peggy's song. And then he turns around and it's still Fury. And I was like, I don't remember that being the song. Yeah.
My kind of claim to fame, but not really, is after I rewatched that movie like in 2016 or something, this like just when I got Twitter, I tweeted out that fact about like, or obviously not, sorry, whenever Endgame, not Civil War, Endgame. Whenever I came out of Endgame, I tweeted, because that was just when I started using Twitter a whole bunch, and I tweeted about it like being the song from Winter Soldier. Got zero traction. No one liked my tweets back then.
Yeah.
And then that fun fact came out like a year later on like, New Rock Stars or something like that. And I was like, I fucking said that forever ago. and then I remember like I follow a bunch of different comic book websites. They're all posting this fun fact. I'm like, what the fuck? I said this forever ago.
Yeah. Just think if that one caught it right.
Oh, could have been fucking nothing different, but that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. I do have one meh.
Okay, so we'll hop to the meh.
I think they could have adapted a slightly better Falcon outfit. Because they did go with kind of just like all silver, whatever. You could have just did like the red and gray kind of thing right off the bat.
Well, what I got from this one is it was more of like his military Falcon suit.
I mean, it is. It's a prototype. But like, I don't know. I don't know. Everyone who flies one of these in the military, they have red streaks in it and shit. I don't know.
Fair.
Like, I think could have. It's not a big deal.
I get what you're
at
saying.
all.
I get what you're saying.
And especially they're basing it off the ultimate version of Sam Wilson, who was like just a military dude and whatever.
Yeah.
So it wasn't inaccurate.
Yeah.
I'm just like, some color would have been cool.
Dude, talk about good luck. Like just because you're running around the monument that day, you got to become the Falcon.
That is an insane run.
You got to talk a little bit with Captain America.
Yeah, and then later Bucky didn't rip your head off. He just ripped off your wing and assumed you didn't have a parachute.
Sam could that easily.
Oh my God, he could have got cooked so hard by the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That's a great scene too. Whenever he's just killing everybody on top of that ship. Jesus Christ, grenade launchers and grapple hooks and whatever the hell else.
Winter Soldier is easily one of my favorite villains in the MCU.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. So much done without saying much.
Swap over to our final thoughts and ratings. Kory, Drew started it, so I'll start with you in final thoughts.
All right.
You want to leave off with Winter Soldier? What do you give it out of 10?
Like I said, I mean, whenever I went back and read the Brubaker run, I loved that run. I did. But it's not often I can say the MCU did a better version of X, Y, and Z, but they just did a better version of it. And he's a lot more relatable, even though you can't relate to him. I mean, the heart is so much more grounded, and the friendship is so much better built on, again, because Bucky was dead for 60 years or however long it had been since Bucky had been dead in the comics. So him returning was like a huge thing, but this, you really get to feel the emotions whenever those two meet up again. You don't really get that in the comics. So in general, great spy thriller, great action. The Russos, I mean, taking a chance on these two dudes who directed some TV episodes and some small, and they made that.
Yeah.
Like nobody walked into this movie expecting much, especially after the Avengers. We all thought it was downhill after that. Yeah. So I think it's a phenomenal movie. Rating?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay.
I am.
Drew.
Respect. So I really enjoyed rewatching this movie. Like I said earlier, I miss the heart you get in these MCU movies. The first one, you're rooting for Cap. This one, you're like, God, Cap is such a badass in this. I love this dude. He easily becomes one of your favorite heroes. I'm going to go 8.7 out of 10. I know that's such a weird number, but it's just a little under 9.
Okay.
But I love it.
I'm gonna land in the same spot as Kory, so same range that we're all in. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. It's not my favorite MCU project, but it's probably top 10. I know we're one day probably just us three will have to bust out a ranking video because now this is the second time where I've thrown ranking out. It's just easy to do when you're at 40 movies at this point. It's just easy to kind of this is how much I like it. It's in the top 25% of all of the movies. And this one is. It's probably I don't have the rankings memorized in my head right now, but I'd probably put this top 10.
Yeah.
That's how good it is. And we're going to get another Captain America movie next that is also probably in that same range. But yeah, this is just a very good, like you guys said, spy thriller. If you're looking for good action, this is it. If you're looking for heart, this is it. If you're looking for a good origin to the Falcon, this is also it. Yeah. And it just makes you more enthralled by the character of Captain America and Chris Evans, who's portraying him. So definitely a great movie. Glad I rewatched it as well because when you're doing this podcast and you've seen a movie as many times as you've seen it, you could easily just say, oh, I've already seen it and I want to talk about it. But I don't like doing that. And I'm glad I'm glad I revisited all 3 of these because I had a good time. And this was one I really had a good time watching.
Absolutely. And on that, what you said, I kind of wish I brought this up, but this is definitely the movie, at least for me, where I felt very sold on Chris Evans as Captain America.
Yeah.
For sure. Avengers, first Avenger, you're definitely feeling it. You think it's a good choice, but I mean, this movie, I think he nails it. Genuinely. Yeah. He gets in the groove, I feel.
Yeah, if that boat scene and the elevator scene don't do you in before the 3rd act,
I don't know what will.
Yeah.
Or the hand-to-hand action with the knife flip we didn't bring up that still gets talked about today.
Yeah.
People talk about great action. Yep. The amount of times I've seen that on a replay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What a movie. That'll do it for Captain America the Winter Soldier. Thank you, fellas, for coming on. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some other videos. Click the subscribe button or follow the social link down below. Go check out Drew's channel as well, as he has content always coming. And stick around. We've got Captain America Civil War coming at you next. If you haven't watched the first Avenger review yet, go back and check that one out. You're out of order now. But we'll talk to y'all soon.
What we doing?
Peace.